Hey folks, it's Ray with Taste Radio. Right now I'm honored to be sitting down with Kristin Alice, who's a category manager with Gelson's. Kristin, great to see you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
It really is a pleasure to be sitting down with you because Gelson's is one of my favorite stores here in the West, on the West Coast, and more specifically in Southern California.
Love to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, I always try to visit a Gelson's when I'm in town. I typically shop Gelson's via Instacart.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very common, actually.
Is it?
Yes. A lot of customers, especially after COVID, has gotten used to Instacart.
Yeah, I feel like it's really easy to shop your stores using that platform, and it's great that the stores have this, or that Instacart has the same prices and sales typically, right? Or is it across the board always like that?
For the most part, yes, but I still encourage you to actually go inside of the stores, so then you can see what our new products are and pricing. So maybe we have a really cool display and you can see all the items that are on the display.
Yeah, I love going into a store like Gelson's for discovery. I'm always visiting the chilled beverages as often as I can. I always feel like you have a good shot selection, juice shot selection at Gelson's, and you're clearly in charge of that. But how do you think about making the store a place of discovery for consumers?
So I always try to look for something unique to the set. So you do have your everyday teas, you have your very common national brands, but what I try to differentiate from the set are those unique items that maybe could be local, better for you, lower sugar, or have really cool packaging that makes it stand out from the shelf.
And just to be clear, you are a category manager for quite a few categories. Before you hopped in the mics, I think you listed 9 different categories.
So beverages, candy, jerky, mixers, bread, salty snacks, chuckling, chips. So half the store.
About half the store,
Yeah.
yes. When you're talking about something that's unique, how do you define unique?
Especially right now, adaptogens, those added benefits to beverages are huge and trending. So prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics, but most importantly, that it tastes good as well.
I'm so interested in this idea of functionality as being an important part of your assessment of a brand and its products, because functionality is sometimes really difficult to explain to a consumer. So does the functionality have to be easily understood? Does it have to be functionality caffeine's an easy to understand functionality, but maybe prebiotics are not so much. So how do you take into account education and awareness and communication of these ingredients when you are deciding whether to bring a brand into the stores?
That's a great question. So I look for vitamins. So and also what it does for your body. And that's the tricky part, because a lot of beverages are jumping onto that bandwagon of being a functional drink, so they want to play into that category. So hydration is not really functional, I would say. I would put that more into hydration set versus functional, as I mentioned, the vitamins, the adaptogens, lion's mane.
And these are things that your customers, they understand because they're already aware of these kinds of ingredients? Or is it that your customers still need to be educated about a functional ingredient like a lion's mane or a reishi? I mean, do you feel like they have a good sense of what they're getting into when they walk into the store, or do they still need quite a bit of education?
Yes and no. So a lot of customers are looking for better for you items, and maybe they're not quite sure what they're looking for. So maybe if they're about to grab a soda and then they see this functional beverage set where less sugar, maybe probiotics, prebiotics, they're not quite sure what it is. They pick it up, they try it, and that's kind of how they learn about it, just from tasting it. But also when I bring in new items, vendors have an opportunity to be featured in our What's New newsletter, which then they can put 4 to 5 sentences about the product, why it's so great. And that gives the opportunity for vendors to educate customers. Mm-hmm. Or if they do in-store demos, then that's another great opportunity to talk about the product and why it's so great.
You said when you bring new brands into stores, how often, what is your new product cycle, or what is your cycle for bringing new products into your stores?
Monthly.
Monthly?
Yes.
Wow.
I try to always act very quickly when it comes to bringing in new items. I don't want to wait for my cycle because then it's a loss of sales. It's a loss of opportunity. It's a loss of no. If it's something cool, something that fits my set, I'm going to try to bring it in ASAP.
It's probably a little bit easier because Gelson's, how many stores do you have across your chain?
27.
27. Okay. So, it's probably a little bit easier to do that than if you had 270 stores. But when you do bring a new brand in, does that necessarily mean that another brand has to leave your store?
For the most part, yes, because I do have to be very mindful of pack out. But some of our stores have these huge, monstrous sets, like a 60-foot set. So if I have the space, I can easily bring it in. But with the stores that are smaller formats, then yes, maybe I do have to DC slower moving item, or if
DC stands for discontinue.
Yeah.
Disco. Yeah.
Yes. Or if there's 4 flavors, then I might only be able to bring in 2.
Okay. What keeps a brand on shelf from month to month, and keeps a brand on shelf not just from month to month but from year to year?
So it's all about what the vendor is going to do. It's if they're going to come in and do demos, they're going to have the displays, they're going to do the shelf TPRs, participate in our rewards box, get their product out there. It's really up to the brand. So the easy part is always to get onto the shelf, but it's staying on the shelf.
To have a better relationship with Gelson's and its customers, you mentioned being in store, doing the demos, getting involved with your newsletter program. How would you talk about brands that are doing the right thing, that doing the best support of their products in stores versus those that aren't? I mean,
Definitely, it could be something simple like social media, coming into our stores, doing a quick little video and putting it on their social media so that it's telling their customers that Gelson's now has it.
mm-hmm.
Demos are always great. So getting in front of our customers, talking with them is always appreciated. And also just checking in with me. So I'm always, don't call me, but I'm always an email away. So if you email me, I'll respond. So just to quickly say, hey, how's my new line doing? What can I do? Are there any opportunities? So I really appreciate things like that, because then I know that the vendor's really trying to put themselves out there.
What should be the first step in an introduction to you? Should it be sending you product? Should it be coming into your store and trying to find Kristin? Should it be an email?
Email. So
what is your email address?
KALAS@Gelsons.com.
That's very easy.
It is.
Five letter KALAS@Gelsons.com. See, I didn't even have to think about it. Nice.
I really don't like unsolicited products.
Sent to you.
Yes.
Okay.
It gets lost. So I get cases of samples coming in.
Oh, no.
Daily.
Okay.
It looks like a warehouse. So it does get lost, but an email is very appreciated.
Okay. What should be in that email?
Sales deck and just talking about the product, what it is, and when my next cycle is. So I actually do have a review cycle or a review schedule that I do try to follow. But if it's something cool, I bring it in quickly.
What would entice you beyond the sales deck to bring a product into your stores for a sample, for you to sample the product? And I know you talk about unique and differentiated, but is there an X factor?
So once the vendor reaches out, and if I see the package and I think it looks really cool, interesting, fun, then I'll say, hey, send over samples to the address below in my signature line. And then if it tastes good, you'll hear back from me right away.
So this might be a little controversial, but we published an episode a couple weeks ago, and we talked a bit about how, great packaging is table stakes, but it feels like the modern aesthetic, which has a lot to do with retro, sort of that throwback feel of the 60s through the 80s, is becoming pretty universal. We're starting to see packaging that starts to look a lot alike. Even if it is beautiful, even if it is really appealing, everything's kind of blending in.
Right.
What's not blending in for you, package-wise? What stands out for you?
Well, sometimes it's just the simplicity of the package. There's this one or two brands in particular that I love their plain white package.
You want to share which brands those are? No? I'm putting you on the spot. Okay, good. Don't just say shut up, Ray, and keep going. I'm sorry.
With their product right in front of that package. And all you do is you just see what it is. And it's kind of just going back to the basics of this is what it is, and it looks great. Come try me.
Yeah, minimalist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree. I think sometimes you can go overboard with copy, with, fancy characters, and before you know it, you don't even know what the product is.
Right.
Yeah.
But then cool package, bright colors do stand out as well. So it's really up to the consumer, and that's always why it's good to have a mix of everything. See what works for the customer, and if it tastes good, then customers, no matter what, will continue to buy it.
Can a brand launch at Gelson's? Can an emerging brand launch at your stores, or would you rather have them prove themselves out in another retailer and then come to your stores?
Definitely, they can come to Gelson's. We do a lot of first-to-markets, and we really look for those first-to-market items, try to work with local communities, and yes, absolutely. I encourage startup brands to come seek us out.
Okay, so key takeaways here. Month-to-month review cycle, sometimes. Don't call Kristin, email Kristin. And yes, you can launch your brand at Gelson's. I like all this. This is great.
Yes.
Kristin,
Yes.
Yes, exactly. All three things. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. I really appreciate it. And
thank you.
this is really helpful information for our audience, so thank you again.
I appreciate your time.